Actually, are we live?
Yeah.
We are live.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today we have Priyans with us. प्रियांश को मैं बहुत अच्छी तरीके से जानता हूँ. ईवी इंडस्ट्री में, ईवी इकोसिस्टम में प्रियांश का काफी बड़ा योगदान है. But it would be good to know from Priyans himself that if he can introduce to the larger audience, and then we will start the formal conversations. Priyans.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me on your LinkedIn Live session. I've looked at a few of them and like not participated, but looked at them and I found it engaging. So thank you for having me. Yes, so I am around 33 years old. I finished my engineering and I started my own company, which deals in indoor air quality. So we make sensors, we make solutions, right? And I have been doing that ever since. So I am like prior to EXP with EVs, I was never really connected to EVs or automotive industry or anything of that sort, right? So I'm an outsider, so to speak. So that is my brief background, and yeah, we'll talk about
Good.
EXP with others. Yeah.
Good. So, Priyans, I mean, this is very interesting that you are an engineer and dealing with the indoor air quality.
Yes.
And we have been seeing this for last many years, that particularly in Delhi, during the
Yeah.
winter, we have largely very bad air quality,
Yeah.
not only outside but even inside also. And most of
Yeah.
the people who can afford it are having the air purifier. I don't know how effective the air purifier is. So I think, but then EV is started to be one of the good solution. I will not say the only solutions, but it's one of the good solutions for combating the air pollutions, particularly
Correct.
in the cities like Delhi, where we have a lot of traffic, a lot of individual owned vehicles. So I'm not surprised that, as an indoor air quality expert, you have been a very good champion for EV itself. But if you can take us through your journey on the EV side, that at what point of time you decided that you should go for EV, you bought your own EV, then I know that you have undertaken thousands of kilometers of journey on your EV, different
Yes.
cities, and from the time when the chargers was not on the highways, even at that point of time. So I think this would be very interesting if you can take the audience through your journey, that when you decided to go for EV, and then what motivated you, and how do you see this air quality and the EV are having any correlations?
Correct. So, Awadhesh, when we started air quality business, we started in 2014, right? And 2014 in India, I don't even think we were really measuring what the outdoor air quality or indoor air quality is, right? We started because we saw the polluted pictures of Beijing. We saw that Singapore has haze, which was problematic for Singapore citizens, as well as in Beijing, like schools were shut and it became big news globally, right? So me and my co-founder, we figured out that okay, this problem will occur in India sooner than later, and that's why we started working on air quality. And the way EVs is related to it is because over the years, now today, if you go to Beijing or Shanghai or any of these cities, there the problem of air quality does not exist, you know, at least on the scale that used to exist earlier. And that, if you learn about it, there has been multi-prong approach, from getting the factories that are there in the city outside, in the other clusters where, having stricter emission norms, and transitioning entire cities to electric vehicles, right? That has also played a key role in getting the cities cleaner, getting the citizens to breathe clean air. So, as you rightly said, right, it is one of the good approaches that we as a country can adopt to breathe clean air. Now, like this was, so this was around little after the pandemic time, when my family decided that okay, we will change our car. So prior to buying a new car, like we had a Wagon R for 10 years, and before the Wagon R we had another Wagon R for 10 years. So our family, I mean, we just loved that product, and it was like very simple to use, and we just wanted to use in cities, right? But after understanding everything about air quality, after working in the space for almost a decade, uh, when it was time to buy a new vehicle, I wanted us to also take a step towards electric mobility and have like at least ensure that whatever we are contributing, it is not affecting the citizens around us, you know. So that is one of the reasons why we bought an electric vehicle. I mean, prior to prior to buying this car, I did not know a lot about cars either. I still don't know, but I was literally blank. So I'd seen some videos on YouTube. uh, the erstwhile Plug-in India channel was very active back then, and what I could also see is that I followed Tesla Bjorn from Norway, and I was seeing his videos, and I got inspired by them, and I'm like, okay, this is something that can be tried and can be tested. So why don't we take a chance and get an EV? And this was April. No, this was early late 2021, right? And in during that time, there were three or four EVs in the market, five EVs in fact. There was the Tigor EV, there was the Nexon EV, MG ZS EV, BYD E6, and Hyundai Kona, right? Um, I was aware of the four except the Kona, so we took the test drive for all of them, and we really liked the MG ZS EV, and we booked that. I eventually got the delivery late April 2022, and we got the delivery of the car. It was a rushed delivery because I mean, they had been not giving us the delivery. We were waiting for the facelift model, uh, so the home charger was not installed, right? I live in Bombay. I live in a small society where we are like 18 flats, and most of the people have been living in that flat since generations. So we know each other very well. So it was relatively very easy for me to get a home charging point installed. You know, I mean, there were questions as to what if EVs catch fire, what if things like that. I'm like, I'm an engineer, trust me what I'm doing, and let me buy the product that I want. And eventually, our housing society allowed me to set up a charger, but that happened like 15, 20 days after I got the car delivery. Right. Now, what happened was that immediately after we bought the car, for within 1 week, I had to go to Gulbarga, which is in North Karnataka. I had to do that. I had to do that trip for my air quality work, and there was not a very good option from Bombay to go to Gulbarga. Trains were too long, or flight was not an option. So I thought, okay, I have this car. This distance is not a lot. This is like 600 kilometers odd one way. The range of the car is 400. So maybe I can try doing this on my own. So within 1 week, I was out on the road driving from Bombay to Gulbarga without, having any understanding of how to do fast charging or any experience really. You know, um, we did not have a fast charger. We did not have a slow charger at home. So I would rely on the dealership's fast charger, which was, again, back then it was Fortum's tritium charger that was there, 50 kilowatt. And, I would go there, top up the car, and then, because it was an electric car, everyone in my friends and family, they all wanted to take a ride in it, drive around and see. So, I've done plenty of charging in that 1 week, just but on that one single charger, right? Because I'm like, this works, so I'll keep going there. um, so yeah, that was the journey, and then I took the road trip. It was there was a lot of learning for me on that road trip, and again, my friends and family were excited because first electric car, doing a road trip so soon. So what was the experience like, right? So instead of writing a WhatsApp message, I published an article around it. I wrote what was the charging, where I stopped, what I did, how I planned the trip, everything I wrote about it, and that's how EXP with EV's journey started.
Oh, very good. So, I mean, where did you publish this article?
This was on my website, expwithevs.in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the this website you created after that road trip.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it means the seed for creating a kind of a website or a blog that germinated during that trip from Mumbai to Gulbarga and back, and
Yes.
especially out of curiosity of the close knit groups, friends, families. How was your experience? As out of
Yes.
curiosity to understand EV. Interesting, interesting. And a couple of things which I have, which I would like you to share with the larger audience. Uh, I mean, because now you said that the Singapore was also experiencing the similar issues of haze, as
Yes.
you know, may not be the quality that bad as in Delhi we have, but Beijing and Shanghai is a huge case which everybody is aware of. And then you said that Gulbarga, there was no option for flight and train were too long and this distance. These are a couple of things which gives a very good insight from the consumer's point of view, that when a consumer buy an electric, or if a new consumer wants to buy an electric, what are the things they should keep in mind? Because should it be a primary car? Because nowadays people are saying that no, the EV should not be a primary car. EV is good for a secondary or third car. In fact, in the corridor of the one of the state governments, I have heard that if you have third electric car, you would get certain advantage or benefit. So even the government in some states are saying that no, it should not be a primary car, it should be a third car or a second car. But as a user, you yourself is driving electric, and I think now it is almost for 3 years, right? More than three
Uh,
years.
3.5 years, yeah.
And how many kilometers you have driven in this car?
Almost 80,000.
80,000.
And
So,
like, just to give you a small example, like the Wagoner that we had for the past 10 years
hmm,
before getting this car, in the 10
hmm,
years, it barely crossed 50K. And
yeah.
this in 4 years is at 80K. So, yeah.
This is very interesting. Uh, did you drive this 80,000 kilometer in order to become TCO at par with ICE, or it is out of, I would say, motivations or excitement that driving EV is fantastic? What did change? Because in 10 years you drive only 50,000, and here you have driven 80,000 in 3.5 years.
Correct. So, two things, right? I'll come to this question, but first I also want to point out that when we got the MG ZS EV, we kept the Wagoner for a bit because we were
Mm.
like, might as well, like, my parents were still not very confident. They're like, we don't know how this will work out, but let's keep Wagoner in case they want to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere, right? At the same time, and it so happened that my parents and I, we would adjust our timings to go somewhere just so that we could take the ZSEV. No one wanted to drive the Wagoner. For 6 months, it was just standing there, right?
Mm.
So it is not just me, it was my parents also who really liked that experience of driving the car and going somewhere, right? And from that, I was never a road trip person. um, in From Bombay, I would keep coming to Delhi for work, I would keep going to other cities for work, right? It was mostly flight or train. But when I had the EV, my first choice was almost always the EV, because I'm like, this car gives me, like, I get to learn a lot as to, one, it is exciting to drive the car. Two, I get to engage my nerdy brain as to keep on calculating as to what is the percentage, when do I need to charge, how far can I go. it is basically a new tech product in hands of an engineer, right? You would want to tinker with it as much as you can. You would want to push it to its limits. You would want to see till how long can the systems hold, and then be excited about it, right? That this is what is happening. So that was the more motivating key factor, rather than TCO. I was not even thinking of TCO. I was not even, because honestly, like Bombay to Delhi flight, it's like 5,000, 6,000 rupees. Um, Same thing, like charging expense will be slightly lower. With toll, it will be almost 4,000, 5,000. But then you also spend 2 days, driving. So time was also a factor, but I was lucky that I had time on my side where, I could take these road trips for my fun. So yeah.
Interesting, because this is something which is, uh, the many people believe that no, this is only from the TCO point of view. If you
Hmm.
drive more, then it becomes. But then we understand that, when we talk of the technology adoption curve, normally initially you have the early adopters or the innovators who normally drive all the new products used, and then subsequently when all the glitches, because initially all the
Yeah.
new products will have issues, will have challenges, and you need to someone has to give the feedback to the car
Yeah.
manufacturers about the product, and then they improve it, and then it becomes the mass market. So I think people like you must be valued or respected by the OEMs. Is my understanding correct?
I mean, every early adopter, right? They have a lot of feedback to share,
Hmm.
and OEMs who want to improve will accept that feedback and do something about it, right? There are cases and there are examples where, like people have gotten together. Like I remember, when the early D2N issue that used to happen in Tata cars, right? There was a
Hmm.
big community action that was done where, Plug-in India members came together and they had a conference with Tata team, and they explained the issues, and Tata team did listen to them, right?
Hmm.
So that feedback loop is really important, where because industry will keep doing things the way they see it, right? It is very important for them to also see the customer's point of view as to
Hmm.
what is the customer, like if they've built a feature, how is the customer using that feature? Is that feature really important, or are there other pressing issues that have to be solved in a car? So I do believe that early adopters really give invaluable inputs to all products, like be it charging infra or be it cars, anything, right?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we always, as a company, particularly, I have asked my team to always take the feedback on a face value and as constructively, because uh, everybody is learning in the ecosystem as far as India is concerned. It's a very
Yes.
early stage. It has been theoretically, I would say, rather practically, it is hardly 4 years, because post COVID we have started all setting up the
Yeah.
charging or selling the cars in the bulk number. So it is still a very early stage, and everybody should learn from each other, and especially the consumers' feedback becomes very very important. And here I would like to just share with the audience that, see, Norway is currently, they have almost 95% new sales on the battery electric vehicle. And one agency which is very strong in Norway is the Norwegian EV user agency. It is almost now 20 years old company, or associations. It's purely by the individual users. Government has no role to that, but then they are contributing a lot in policy making, in advocacy, in disseminating the government's messaging as well. And they give a continuous feedback to the government, to the policymakers, from the millions of or thousands of the EV users and the drivers. uh, do you think that in India now is it the time? Because when you mentioned about the plugin, I was very happy. I was, in the initial days I was engaging with Kedar, and so plugin was doing a very good job, at least showing where are the chargers, guiding the people. But now, since we have evolved, now we are selling more and more cars, particularly in the car segment I'm talking about. Do you think there is a urgent need for the larger user groups forming a formal associations
Hmm.
and engaging with the different players of the ecosystem? Because then the OEMs will also listen to them, because that will be the aggregated experience or the feedback of thousands of the drivers, lakhs of the drivers. Currently it is bits and pieces. Priyans is known to, let's say, MG or Tata or particular dealer, they can give the feedback. But if the larger voice gets, what is your view on that?
So I don't know if consumer advocacy groups have worked in other industries in India or not. In Norway, maybe yes, people will. I mean, there the thinking, the mentality is different. Here also the mentality is different. Um, the way it is working right now is that, as you said, right, there are fragments. There are multiple, like hundreds and thousands of WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups where communities are being run. You know, there is Tata EV Club, there is Tesla Club India, there is probably a group for Mahindra cars. So what has happened is that people people like, it's a very democratized setup right now, the way I see it, right? uh, if there is a problem on the ground, they will reach out to, they will put it in their community group. From that community group, someone knows that, oh, this problem can be solved by this person. So the message will keep going up the food chain, and then eventually there'll be someone who will call the right person at the right OEM and talk to them that, hey, can you solve this issue, right? uh, there are such flag bearers in the community who do take up customer issues with the OEM directly. Um, there are, when you give it a formal what do you say, a formal quoting, right? That okay, this is happening through formal channels. Um, then I have a sense that the OEMs will take a step back, because then it's like an official, someone is officially telling them that, hey, this is your problem and you need to fix it. In India, we have, like, over the course of my work, what I've understood is that no one likes to hear the truth if it is inconvenient for them. So but if it is inconvenient for anyone else, they are all very happy and cheering about it, right? So we have that mentality where, if I tell that, hey, you are doing this wrong, and I put it formally, people people will accept that, but they will not like it. No one, they are not very comfortable with it. So maybe there is some time yet still for the industry to mature, for the customers also to mature, and then probably have a formal setup if needed. But otherwise, I mean, if things are working fine for now, then they're working fine.
What we are saying is quite practicable. But where from I am coming, because uh, less as a charge point operator, but more as a consumer. See, at this stage in a country, especially in the initial days, and for this is not like the mobile or anything. It's like the product where you'll be spending or investing close to 10 lakh rupees plus, and
Easily.
and and you would like that the product should run, and at the same time there should be enabling ecosystem as well. So when I'm suggesting that there should be a strong user association group, uh, especially I would say on the policy advocacy side. Because see, on the policy side currently, what is my experience is that consumers are seldom invited, right?
Yeah.
Who are invited in the workshops? Because I myself have been invited in the many workshops, in the seminars, where we are surrounded by the car OEMs, the CPOs, the EMSPs who aggregates the chargers, and the governments, different think tanks. But I have not seen the consumer as such. Couple of workshops I have seen. Like you have been sharing your experience. Ashish has been sharing some experience. Ashish Arora, so those are isolated voice, I would say. But as
Yeah.
a structured group, because government when create a policies, see ultimately from the government's point of view, uh, I believe it should be more from the consumers' acceptance of the product and consumers' convenience. And from there, it is important that if the government taps into the consumer's experience firsthand, and I'm advocating this user association group on the pattern of the Norwegian. It can be adapted as per our ethos, as per our culture, as per our traditions. But if we can have an organized voice of the consumers, because currently what you said, it gives me the information that roughly it's a vehicle specific community. So
Yes.
if Tesla club is there, they are talking about Tesla. If it is Tata, then talking about Tata products. If there could be a Mahindra, it could be talking about Mahindra products. But then who is aggregating all these things? And
Yeah.
that should go to the, because government has to be agnostic of the vehicle manufacturers, right, in the policy formulations. But I'll come back to that later. But I would like to now understand from you, and especially on behalf of audience, is that uh, if you can share some of the concerns of the EV driver, which
Hmm.
even exists today, because you have been
Yeah.
not driving for 3.5 years, you have driven for 80,000 kilometers. Initial
Yes.
days, you must have all those issues of the range anxiety because they were promised 400 kilometer. I don't know what is the real world, range. So if you can share your experience on the common consumer concerns which you believe still exist and which needs to be addressed by the ecosystem players, by be the charge point operator, be the car OEMs, be the government,
Correct.
and share that one. That will be very helpful for the audience.
So I would like to divide this into three sections.
Hmm.
One is basically the first section is before someone is buying an EV car, right?
Hmm.
What are the concerns that are there in the mind of a consumer? They're like,
Hmm.
you know, will this give me that kind of range or not? Um, can I am moving away from one product to a completely different type of product, right? Can
Hmm.
I really survive that with my needs and my application and my, the way I like to use my cars? I don't have to, how much do I have to really change my habits before I can make full use of the car the way I want it, right? Those are some of the concerns that are always there in the mind of a consumer who's going to buy an electric car, right? Um, Even despite seeing the car so many times with their friends or family, right now, I mean, the way we are selling cars, I can say that, at least in your second or third connect, there is someone who definitely has an electric car or who has been using an electric car for at least a year or so, right? So, what happens is that despite having these close experiences also, that someone is using it, first hand experience also, uh, the customer will have that kind of a concern as to what am I really getting into, right? Once that is done, once they buy the car, right, then there is a small phase of first month or first 1,000 kilometers that I would like to say is the initial phase where you are really getting to know your car. You are really getting to know how you're experiencing everything firsthand, right? You're probably doing a short trip here and there. From, let's say you're in Delhi, then you will probably be like, okay, let's go to Murthal today and let's eat parathas and come back, because you want to be able to experience the joy of like driving that car for a bit, taking it out and then coming back, right? Just so that you know that okay, next time I can do this very easily. You're getting to know your car, right? You will want to run that car down from 100 to as low as you can, or maybe you'll be very cautious and you will start charging at 30% only. So that is the phase where you are trying to understand the car. So there the anxiety is more about, okay, I can do these things. Can I do like can I do Delhi to Shimla, or can I do Delhi to Chandigarh, right?
Hmm.
That is what the owner will start thinking. The owner will also start thinking that okay, the initial concerns that were there, they have gone, but what like they would have realized that okay, if I'm going up an incline, my range goes down faster. If I'm coming down, my range increases, right? So they're like, okay, they might not have a clear idea as to what really is happening, but they'll be curious to explore that, right? And then the phase comes where they've driven 1,000 2,000 kilometers, they've taken their car on a trip or so, and now they are confident. They're like, okay, I can still drive the car wherever I want within my parameters, and if their application is just in city, no issues at all. They'll be like, we drive it, we come back, put our car on charge, and do that thing again. Uh, but for outsiders, like people who take the car outside, they will they will experience it a few times and then be very confident.
Okay. Good. And for the audience, I just give you a piece of information that this is very interesting. I remember immediately after COVID, and was it in 2022, Priyans, I think you had, along with the person who was on the Tesla Club, or on the, I think Tesla Club, right? Tesla Club. And you had invited me to be the guest for your podcast at that point of time, right? and
Yes.
and, and now we have come a full circle. Well, I have
Yes.
invited you to be on our, it's not a podcast, but then this is more to learn from each other. But then this is very inspiring, I would say. This is very satisfying, that because when we started, we were also practically leading, especially on the discussions around the EV charging ecosystem. But now it gives me very, I would say, I'm very happy that the users like you have gained enough experience, and you being an engineer dealing with indoor quality, so I'm pretty sure that you must have understood a lot of technical aspects of the vehicle as well. And that brings me a very interesting questions, which normally we keep hearing. In fact, a few days back, I was talking to someone, and they were still worried about the battery health,
Yes.
the slow charging, the fast charging, and especially in India, where all manufacturers have their own guidelines, that you need to have three AC cycles or three DC cycles followed by one AC, or someone says that fine, you can do as many DC. And then we have this fine print warranty clause also, that for
Correct.
the first user we give lifetime warranty. Nobody knows what the lifetime warranty means, because lifetime warranty means that as long as vehicle is with me, the battery, this is under warranty. But then when they read the fine prints, then they come up with all those challenges. So
Correct.
how has been your experience? And because now you have been 3.5 years, 80,000 kilometer, so almost 50,000 miles, right? So you have driven 50,000 miles or 80,000 kilometers, which is good enough kilometer for the battery's point of view. Uh, how has been your experience that on the battery health, or the SOH particularly, not about the SOH, and then how it has impacted the charging speed as well, and the range as well? If you can take us through that journey, or that experience.
So I will talk about two aspects here. One, my experience with the MG ZSEV, and the
Hmm.
second one is about lifetime warranties that is being offered by the cars, by OEMs, and what is happening today, right? So, in fact, I have written articles on both of these, explaining my point of view as to what I am observing, right? So, in MG, what we see is that there is earlier I would get 400 420 kilometers easily on a full charge without AC, driving at constant speed of 79 kmph. That was my like that. Those are the parameters with which I drive, right? Um, Over a period of time now, after 50,000 kilometers, 60,000 kilometers, I have seen that number go down slightly, right? I can probably assume that there is around 4 to 5% range drop that I have seen. Um, this is also because half of my travel has been outside the city. So I am doing fast charging half the time, I'm doing slow charging the rest half of the time, right? So it's nearly 50-50 as to how I'm doing this. And that is what my experience has been with MG. Um, over a, so to get into slightly technical details, they have something called as calendar aging, where your battery health will go down by 0.01% every day, right? It does improve when you do a complete reset of the pack and you do a complete discharge to full charge. That is when the SOH will slightly improve. But otherwise, if you don't do that, it is going to go down by 0.01% every day, right? That is what I have seen with MG. Now, in terms of other OEMs who are offering lifetime warranties, like MG is offering, Tata is offering, Mahindra is offering, right? There are some concerns that I have. One, I mean, this is not applicable to everyone, but some of the OEMs, they would recommend that you have to do slow charging after certain number of fast charging sessions. They will be like, if you don't do that, then your lifetime warranty can be under threat. Or a simple thing like, you have to keep paying us 1,500 or whatever their connected app subscription is. If you don't do that, then your lifetime warranty is under threat, right? What I'm observing here is that the OEMs are trying to cover as much ground as they can without taking any liability, but they still should have that marketing term that we are providing lifetime warranty. That these fine terms and conditions are really something which is bothering, because if for example, right now I live in a rented flat in Delhi where I don't have a charging setup, so I have to rely on fast charging only, or I have to really find a slow charger where I can put my car on slow charge. Now if I'm continuously doing fast charge, right, the car should be able to tell me that, hey, if you keep doing this fast charging, we don't have a problem, the battery does not have a problem, but the range you are getting will be slower, right? If that is something that is communicated clearly to the customer, then the customer, you don't have to dangle the threat of lifetime warranty on that customer. The customer, if they want better range, they will automatically keep slow charging their car if that is what is needed to keep the battery healthy, right? Or charge it to 100% if that is what is needed to keep the battery healthy. So I do have some concerns around that. If someone in the chat can share the links of my article on both MG and lifetime warranties, it would be great. Uh, because yeah, I do have a lot to say about that.
Okay, it's very interesting because I also strongly believe in the transparent communications, especially on a
Yeah.
product, and this is a product, right? And especially, you are aware that as an association of the Indian Charge Point Operator Associations, we have uh, placed that there should be a campaign around Know Your Batteries, because the
Yes.
battery is the heart of the EV, and there should be a concerted effort by all ecosystem players, particularly by the OEMs, to help the customer or the users know their batteries. And there, I mean, the very interesting thing which you said, that the car, why can't the car give a feedback to the customer that, look, you have been doing it for last 10 sessions or 10 cycles you have been doing on the DC, it will have some impact on the range or the battery SOH itself. Why don't you switch to? Because nowadays, especially when you talk about the MG, when we switch on the MG, they greet you, with a welcome note. So if they can
Yeah.
greet you with a welcome note and they give you the weather outside, that there could be some flooding somewhere, so they have those inbuilt communications there. I think this is very interesting. I mean, I'm sure if OEMs are listening, then they probably can take this as a feedback and to improve the communications, and that will help the customer gain confidence. They will not be
Exactly.
worried about that what lies between the lines, but they will get direct communications. This is very powerful messaging, I think, the car OEM should do, especially from the consumer's point of view. Now tell me one thing, because you said 0.01% every day calendar aging. Is it the official data shared by the OEM?
No, I mean, none of the OEMs that I know of will ever give the SOH of the battery pack in writing. Be it Tata, be
Okay.
it MG. This is what I have experienced. They'll be
Okay.
like, you go to the service center, they'll connect their OBD to the car, and then you can click a photo for yourself. But if you ask them to give it in writing, none of them will do that. That this is the SOH of the car that we are seeing. I don't know why that is the case. I mean, it also sometimes makes me question whether the SOH that they are providing is actually the real SOH of the car, or it is just something that they have put in as a metric to to save themselves down the line after 8 years or whatever the time period is for which they're providing the warranty, right?
Okay.
That transparency is missing.
Okay. So when you are saying 0.01%, this is your personal
I have
experience.
calculated. Yes.
Okay.
Multiple users across MG products in like the ZSEV in UK, the ZSEV in Thailand, the ZSEV in India. Like people have done their own calculations and measured data and figured it out that it is
Because
0.0.
this, yeah, because this seems to be quite high. Because if you see, if it is per day 0.01%, it means we are talking about in a year it's almost 4%,
It is.
and in 5 years it will be less than it will come down to 80% on SOH, and that is huge because that I mean I was going through certain data not from India but in Europe and US, and there we have seen across the multiple vehicles, the Teslas, the Mercedes, the BMWs, the Audis, and all. And there the data says is that over a period of 3 lakh kilometer, the SOH has not reduced by 20%, though manufacturers give the warranty of 150,000 kilometer, and it is expected that 150,000 kilometer you will have 20% reduction in the SOH, 80%. But the real data in Europe and the US, which is aggregated, it was indicating that it is much better than what is claimed. So around 85, 90%. But what you are saying is that in 5 years itself, it will be almost close to 80%.
So there's one caveat there.
Hmm.
They start counting it from the buffer. So if your buffer is 5%, right?
Hmm.
So then from it will start from 105, the reduction, right?
Hmm.
Instead of 100. And at least in the MG case that I had calculated, if it keeps going the way it is going, then exactly at around 8 year mark, when their warranty gets over, their SOH is below 70 or 75%, which is their
Hmm.
threshold of
Hmm.
providing warranty. If your SOH is below this, then we will not provide warranty, right? So
Okay.
it's, I mean, I don't know how transparent that data is, but this is the data that is seen on the OBD. This is the data that is seen on the in the dashboard of the service center also. When you go to the service center, so
Okay. Okay. So do you think if there is a mandate from the government, let's say I'm just I'm visualizing a scenario, and if any government is listening to this discussions, and if we, based on your individual experience, and if I take the liberty to aggregate it with the larger users, if government makes an policy mandate that the user has to be given transparently and options, either they can have equipment installed in the vehicle by themselves by some service provider, or the OEMs, they need to share the data periodically, maybe 6 months or 1 year down every year, as a part of the routine uh, data sharing with with the individual owners, and where they should give the verified SOH. Do you think that will help build the trust of the consumers on the EV, and it will also help in second-hand market development?
I was coming to the second-hand market, right? Um, Having a reliable SOH value of a car, of a battery in a car is going to give tremendous confidence to someone who's buying as a second-hand or a third-hand car, right? Because they know that, as you rightly said, right, battery is the most important part of the car, and if that if you know that the battery is healthy, that means that the car will be fine. If the battery is not healthy, then the car is not fine, right? The problem with a government mandate is that a lot of OEMs right now, from what I know, they still don't have ways to figure this out. They're waiting for like first generation Nexon owners have like they will be usually like moving to a new car, like the people who have bought in 2020, right? Especially, or maybe in the next couple of years they'll be doing that. By 2028, their warranty is getting over. So maybe by then the OEMs will also like at least Tata will have an idea as to how their battery packs have performed over 8 years and what can they really do. I mean, because they've seen that in 4 years only they've been like, okay, we can give them lifetime warranty, you know. So the pace of movement on OEMs is slightly slow than expected. If a government mandate can push them faster, then I welcome that. But yeah, the OEMs also need to be able to understand as to how to really like they need to know the battery really well without having that in-house setup of either manufacturing the battery or manufacturing the BMS. They will not be able to understand as to how the battery is behaving, because they have to rely on a third party who will give them that data. So
So now, tell me on this particular point, uh, what do you think? What has to change from the OEM's point of view, by which they will be able to communicate a better information or better knowledge about the battery with the customer? Because ultimately it's the customer who is owning that asset, and I would say they have implicit right to know their battery or their product, right?
yes, definitely.
Obviously, since the battery is ultimately supplied by the OEM have full control on the battery, what chemistry they are doing. They know their cycle, real time cycles, that what will be the ultimately the charging cycles and discharging cycles which will be allowed. So, what do you think? What would be your recommendations, which can be probably considered by the OEMs? Uh, let's keep apart the government's mandate, because mandate is normally, uh, in Indian context, mandate becomes many times not followed, right?
Yeah,
If
like
it is,
PUC.
yeah, if it is coming from self, within self, it
Yeah,
becomes like the charging standards, the CCS2. Government is allowing all kinds of chargers, whether the CCS or SHAdeMO or the GVYT. You can do anything, but industry as a voluntary measures on the car side, they have adopted CCS2, and now this is going to stay here. So, and similarly, I think on this side, how do you think, or what could be your suggestions to the OEM or to the ecosystem player to take certain measures which will help customer know the battery well?
so first thing is that if they have the data, right, they can they I mean the customer will have a connected app with the car. Most customers will have, right? They can start showing that data in a way that the customer understands that, hey, like in your iPhone, right, or in your phone, you will see that what is the health of the battery. That is always written, right? You have that option that you know I want to conserve my battery, or uh, I want to like preserve my battery in a way that excessive things are not done on my battery, right? So there is some sort of control that is there with the customer, where you can decide and you can see an immediate impact that if you're, for example, like keeping your phone like in a conserved mode on battery, then you will see that the battery health will be stay longer at that percent instead of dropping very fast, right? So something like that maybe can be done on the car side, where the OEM presents the data that this is what we are seeing on your car. Here are some of the options that you can do to extend the life pack of the car. Or if you continue doing it this way, then this is the performance that we see will happen in your car. That is one way to do that, right? If the OEMs have that kind of, they do have that data, right? It is just a question of putting it in this framework and sharing it with the customer. If they can't do that, then the idea is then you have customer access the data and figure it out on their own, like open it to the market, right? For example, your OBD data, right, on Tata cars is very difficult to read. Very few people have been able to reverse engineer that, right? If the OEM themselves are like, hey, you want the data about your car, you connect it in this way. This is the protocol that you follow, and you get a lot of valuable data about the car. You figure out your own metrics, or there'll be that gives an opportunity for a third party market player to come in and give that insight to the customer. Then taking that insight or not is the function of the customer and not the OEM. Then, at least in this way, the OEM is not gatekeeping the customer from their own data.
Okay.
That is what I believe.
Okay. Good. Good. And I'm bringing now a very interesting topic. Particularly, it amuses me. And as a curious individual, I would like to understand your perspective as a user. And I'm pretty sure you are driving MG, so MG has. So I'm talking about the charging port location, right? So, like in MG, it's on the front, right?
Front.
In some car, it is on the rear side, left hand side. In some car, it is rear side, right hand side. I have not figured it out on the ICE vehicle as well. कि किसी की पेट्रोल की टैंकी पीछे रहती है, राइट साइड में रहती है, किसी लेफ्ट साइड में रहती है. I'm pretty sure OEMs must have some thought process behind this one. But on the EV, it is very interesting. Reason being because normally as a CPO, we know that the charging point, stations which we put in, they have generally standard cable length of 4 meter or 5 meter, right? And a vehicle like EQS has almost 4 meter plus length, right?
Yeah.
Now, and from the driving convenience, from the charging convenience, as a user, what do you think? What would be the right place? Is in the front or is in the rear to have the charging port? And I know that I'm asking a very probably very irrelevant questions from the audience point of view, because
No.
we are in the habit of accepting whatever is given to us. But
Correct.
I'm trying to challenge that status quo thought process. That why should be on the right, why should be on the left, why should be on the front? There should be an ideal way by which it has to communicate, it has to connect those cable with the charger. So as a consumer, what do you think? What is the right side, front or rear, and in the rear, left or right?
So I don't really have an opinion on that. I mean, the MG that I used, that I still use, has the front port. I had the Tiago EV that had rear left side, I think, and now we have the Windsor EV, which has front side. Not front, but front left side or right side. I forget. Opposite to the driver's side, I guess. So yeah, I mean, what I do hope is that if a brand has gotten a car, their charging point is consistent. If it is at the front, then let it be at the front. If it is left side, then let it be at the left side. If it is at the back, then let it be at the back. But if there is consistency in design, then the customers are not confused. If there is consistency, because I remember I was doing an experiment where I wanted to try out the Tigor EV. So I took Tigor EV on rent from someone in Bombay, and I had to go for an event in Pune and come back. In fact, I had to do that because my parents were on a road trip in the ZSEV. So I took the Tigor and I went and I came back, and once I was home, I wanted to put it on charge. Now, in the MG ZSEV, I was so used to that, you go to the front, you press that button flap and it opens and you plug in your car. In Tigor, I was trying to press that flap and it is not opening. And then I did not know what to do. So I called up a friend who was awake at 2:30 a.m. and he's like, I need to charge my car. This flap is not opening. What to do? He's like, just like old school, see on the bottom side of your driver's seat, there is a button to, like fuel pump, you have that button to open it. and connect. I'm like, fair. So, I mean, despite me being an experienced driver, I could face these issues, right? And everyone, like, I agree with the Tata thinking where, person is coming from the ice mindset. So to open the fuel flap, they usually do that. So it is easy for them to do that. But uh, I mean, over 2 years, my habit had changed. I was just driving the MG. So, that happens. Like,
Yeah.
I think, but as long as something is consistent and you don't keep changing the positions, then I believe it is great for your brand also, because at least then the when a charger manufacturer or the CPU is putting up a charger, they will know exactly what all points to cover. How much has the cable length has to be, or
This is
where how do they design the parking? You know.
this is precisely I was coming to that from a CPU point of view, because it is not just a matter of putting the chargers. It is also important that what will be the length of the vehicles, on how long the cable should be, how it should be connected, and that there should be a stress on the cable itself.
Yeah.
So these are very important. But I think what I would urge you at this point, what I would, because you love writing, and then you have a very apt name of your website, Experience with EV. I would urge you that do some research on this, that why, how this port side is designed, how it is conceptualized by the OEMs. Probably you can talk to the OEMs, you are the user for them, and try to share those knowledge base, whatever it is, with the larger audience, that what is the rationale for this one, why it should be on the left hand side, and if there is any, after your reading or after your research, if you feel that there should be a, because see, especially on the MG side, when it is front, as a consumer, as a driver, I feel slightly inconvenienced. Why? Because I have to drive the vehicle and put the front in front of the charger itself. So it means vehicle will not be always on the driving mode, driving facing mode. Normally, whenever you are parking the vehicles, from the safety point of view, it is important that you don't have to reverse the vehicle in times of any emergency. And here you'll have to necessarily put
Park it
the car
face up.
parking facing the chargers, right? So if there is any emergency situation, you'll be losing some bit of seconds in reversing, and reversing is always time taking than driving straight forward, right? So I think that's my experience as a user, not as an
Mhm.
ecosystem player, but as a user. Whenever I drive MG and I put connect to the chargers, I feel inconvenience, because then you are connected there, and then you have a very small space left between the charger and the front, and where you open the flap. So that's my personal view. But then I think if people like you or someone from the audience, or even the OEMs, can put up their thought process, that why makes them to think that it's on the right hand side, left hand side, because see, on when you said legacy vehicles, if it is not ground zero electric vehicle, or not born electric, I can understand that you have a flap systems, because it is an ICE vehicle which has been converted into the EV. So you would like
Yeah.
to maintain all the architectures of the ICE, except to the extent the battery has to be fitted under the chassis. So you not like to tinker with that one. But then we are doing the born EV. You have the flexibility, that keeping the consumer's preference, which side they prefer it, and all. So I think this is something which needs to be researched. Uh, we don't have, because we have addressed the questions of Akshay regarding those two charging sessions and one DC charging sessions for optimal. So we discussed during conversations, and then we have Nitin sharing his observations, that having an ICE car as first and using EV as second car is still the mindset of all the buyers. Charging infrastructure is not the major concern as on date, but time taken to charge the EV. Technical issues within vehicle or while charging are the major concerns for EV buyers. But buyers who differentiate the ICE versus EV in terms of values, definitely their mindset will change. The one important point which he has brought in is that time taken to charge the EV. Now,
Yes.
this point, again, I would like to understand from you how you have seen the charging evolving and the battery charging capacity, because most often as a CPO, we face the brunt of all the customers, right?
Yes.
उनका ये कहना है कि आपकी चार्जर्स पे तो गाड़ी हमारी चार्ज नहीं होती है फास्ट, ठीक है? अब we know as a player that yes, it is the battery which dictates the charging speed. Yes, as long as the charger is capable of supplying that speed, it is the battery. If the charger has a limitations, that's fine. Then it's the CPO who is responsible for this one. So, what is your take? How the battery charging speed has evolved over a period of time, and how the charging is evolving, particularly the fast charging is evolving?
So first, I would like to address the earlier point as to how, like, you know, what is this blame game that is happening and how that can be solved, right? When a car OEM publishes, like, launches a new car, right? Um, they always mention time taken from X percentage to Y percentage in minutes, right? Everyone has their own different formula. Everyone has their own asterisks around it, stating that, this is the condition under which it was tested, blah blah blah. It's simple. What they have to do is they have to put out a charging curve of the car from 0 to 100, right? In two conditions. One is at a regular, most common charger, which is like a 60 kilowatt charger in India. And what they have to also do is that they have to put it on the best performing charger that they have. The one that can deliver the amps, that can deliver the voltage that is needed for the car, right? So you have this information from the OEM side that has to be given to the customer, right? The fault of charge point operators here is that if your LT line load is 44 kilowatt, right? But on your app, you have put up a 60 kilowatt charger. On ground, you have put a 60 kilowatt charger. You will show it as 60 kilowatt, right? And when the customer plugs in their car, they're getting only 40 kilowatt, even when there is no other car that is plugged in together, right? So the CPOs together have to come to a decision and show the true value of what is being dispensed on the charger level or on the gun level, right? The CPO can also do that, is that, if one gun is occupied, they can say that on the other gun, this is the max that they can get. That is also something that has to be conveyed to the customer. And the customer's fault here is also that, um, in the settings of the car, right, especially in the Mahindras that are there is a setting where you can limit the charging curve, or limit what is the speed of charging that you want. Someone must have set it lower, and they have not done they don't know their car enough to be able to know that setting and change it back. They will call up Mahindra, they'll call up Glida and complain that, hey, my car is not getting that kind of charging speed. So I believe that all three pieces of the triangle have to work on it to be able to come to a solution where no one is really disappointed on the charging speed that they're getting.
Interesting. So, Priyans, we have come to the end of the sessions, but then before I close it, as a CPO, I take this feedback, constructively, because our intent is, yes, some of the chargers we have restricted the capacity on our systems on the backend, but maybe on our app it is still showing 60 kilowatt chargers. So I take that, and we will check. At least I can talk about the Glida, that we
Yeah.
will do a thorough check of our chargers, and if there is such inconsistency between the load which we have and the charger capacity, and if there is inconsistency, we will fix it, because we want the right informations to be given to the customer, which we don't want to give any wrong information. And I think all the CPOs believing in that, and so this is something which will be very, very interesting. And another feedback which you have given is this: if one gun is drawing then what is the capacity available in the second car. Though it's slightly complicated, but we will try to figure it out that how we can do through the algorithm, because normally it depends upon the charger manufacturers. We have, if the second car comes in, we split 120 to 60/60, or in some algorithm till the time the second car doesn't go below that capacity, it is not. So we'll figure it out. But this is interesting from the customers awareness point of view and the right informations, these two feedbacks, because I'm representing a CPO, so clearly these feedbacks we will work it on. So Priyans, thank you very much. And audience, if you have any more questions, you can send it over email or on the LinkedIn, and we will answer those questions. And Priyans, if it is addressed to Priyans will answer that questions as well. But it was great talking to you, Priyans. Especially, it was very interesting to know from the consumer's point of view who have taken as a plunge, as a first car, and be with this. You have your own challenges, which you are taking up with the different players. I to the audience, I tell you that in one of the chargers which we showcase as a very modern and very high power capacity, was the first in India, was a 200 kilowatt kem power charger, where the charger was supposed to give 160 kilowatt power. And we got a feedback from Priyans that he was in Lucknow, and he corrected and he said that it is giving 30 kilowatt or something like that, whereas no other vehicles were connected on those chargers, on those 6 dispensers. And obviously we started investigating into this one, and we found issue that why it is giving this one. But then we always appreciate these kinds of feedback, and we always try that we should work on this one, because it is for me unthinkable that 160 kilowatt charger and it is giving only 30 kilowatt. So there is a technical issues. It's not the load issues, there's the technical issues, and we have fixed it now. But then these kind of feedbacks we always appreciate, Priyans. And Priyans normally is known for giving you that he doesn't mince words, with the OEMs also. I'm aware. I have seen his LinkedIn posts. I have seen his even yesterday he commented on someone's post that what is the source of the data which you are saying that. So that is something which should be appreciated, because you should always challenge that what is the source, and that source is credible or not. And because as an ecosystem, EV requires these transparent communications. And on this platform, on the LinkedIn Live, through Glida, we are trying to make those conversations more transparent. What is the issues which is plaguing the ecosystems, and how we can together fix these issues. So Priyans, once again, thank you for accepting and then coming to and sharing your experience with a larger audience.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you. And thank you for being open for feedback.
Thank you.